Is this thing on? Oh, hello everybody. My name is Malachi, or aka FNAF Plus Stars 47, and welcome to part 2 of this video. Okay, the second one's called Trapped Inside of a Chuck E. Cheese. This is the second video that he made, so go check out his channel. His channel name is You Will Be Afraid. Go subscribe to his channel. If you haven't seen the first one, then you'll probably won't understand it. Alright, let's begin. Me gun.
It was around 10 o'clock when that evening's staff began to shut the place down. Mindy, their 30-year-old bubblegum chewing manager, bid everyone a lazy farewell for the night after she guided every guest out of the front doors of the building. Please, 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 make sure that we shut down everything but the freezer and alarms tonight, guys. I don't want Romo yelling at me again because we end up having another high utility bill for the month, alright? Let's just get that right and we'll all be happier people, I promise. Jacoby, a playground floor attendee, rolled his eyes and pulled a few of his blaze-red dreadlocks over his shoulder as he sighed at Stevie, a pizza chef.
Why is he taking that?
Stevie had a lopsided bowl cut of blonde hair and always looked bored, no matter what was happening around him. Aside from him and Jacoby, there was Meredith, a short, long-haired brunette who was in charge of maintaining the ticket machines. They were all in their late teens. Yeah, right, Jacoby muttered. He poked Stevie's arm with one of his elbows. Being happy isn't in our job description. I heard that, Mindy said over the buzz of air conditioning in the building. Listen, we all want to make our lives easier, right? So just do what you're told. Shut down everything but the freezer and alarms and then go on home. Smoke weed or drink or do whatever it is the kids do nowadays and fall asleep knowing that you did the right thing. I'm out of here. With that, she left the building. And after saying goodbye to Meredith, who took home as many frozen pizzas as she could carry in her arms, both Jacoby and Stevie stood in the middle of the establishment together, looking around at every attraction in sight. Everything had been either dimmed or shut off, except for the arcade, which they could still hear over the air conditioning. Jacoby stretched and pulled his car keys out of the back pocket of his slacks. He yawned and motioned for Stevie to follow him as he left the building. Well, I guess everything's been taken care of. Stevie, confused, tilted his head and pointed towards the arcade and alarms in the back. But, we haven't turned on the alarms, man, he said as he looked at the arcade. The distant crackling of digitized explosions floated through the air. And the arcade's still gotta be shut off, man. Mindy said... Hey, fuck Mindy, Jacoby said with a frown. He spun around and pointed towards the back of the restaurant. I don't get paid enough to care about protecting Romo's precious little kid circus. And Mindy? She doesn't give a shit about us. If she did, she'd be pressuring him about raising our salary. Minimum wage in Massachusetts is what, $8, right? $8 an hour. How much do we make? 6? Stevie said. Jacoby narrowed his eyes and shook his head. He turned around and motioned for Stevie to follow him out of the building. You don't even know how much you're getting paid, man. You gotta lay off all that weed you've been smoking, man. For real. It's a damn shame. You don't even know how much you're getting paid. Just, come on. Let's get the hell out of here. Fuck this job. But... Stevie began. He still stared at the arcade as another electric crash shattered through the cool air, but Jacoby was firm. He'd already made it to the front doors, which were made of flexible, reinforced sheet glass. No buts, Stevie. Fuck Romo, fuck Mindy, fuck this job, and fuck Chuck E. Cheese, he said. Come on, I heard that Pizza Heaven is hiring now, man. They got 3 spaces open. And guess what? He asked, causing Stevie to shrug his shoulders. They pay $12 an hour, man. Stevie turned back to the arcade for a second, and then looked behind him towards the alarms. He thought about what Jacoby said and then closed his eyes and sighed. Fine, he said.
I'm being weird.
Fuck Chuck E. Cheese, I guess. He grabbed his jacket and followed Jacoby out of the building. As they locked the front doors, Jacoby giggled and threw an arm over Stevie's shoulders. When we get that new job, I'm gonna buy a new stereo system for my car, man. A graphic equalizer. Bitches love graphic equalizers. Moss reeled backwards as another machine gun-toting enemy materialized on his arcade screen.
Okay, now it's a video game?
Sucker chewed vigorously on a few sticks of mint bubblegum beside him as they narrowed their eyes and focused on the intense task at hand. They were close to beating Time Crisis 2 for a second time, but with the added victory of achieving new high scores, something that they prided themselves on whenever they spoke to their friends about video games. Moss clicked his teeth in annoyance as he took a hit from a woman wielding a rocket launcher, and Sucker quickly glanced sideways at him worryingly. Hey, you okay? You can't take too many of those. I know, shut up. She came out of nowhere. Well, stay focused. We're so close. Darn it! Sucker tensed his jaw as he suffered a hit from the same enemy, and he frowned as he failed to reload in time to stop another few men from putting their holes in his virtual body with pistols the size of watermelons. Darn it! He yelled again. He had no more lives left, and Moss soon succumbed to the AI a few moments later. They were no match against the game without one another. A giant continue screen flashed over both of their monitors, and Sucker kicked his cabinet as he turned away, spat his bubblegum behind the machine next to him, and stuck his thumb back into his mouth. His forehead was a wrinkled map of frustration. Moss smiled and placed a hand on his friend's shoulder. Hey, it's okay, Sucker. It's only a game. We'll beat it next time. Sucker tisked and shrugged Moss's hand off. The electric soundtracks from all of the running arcade machines around them threatened to drown out his voice. We only lost because you couldn't keep it together. Moss frowned and leaned backwards. What? You always do that, and it's always here, too. You always lose focus, and we always have to start all over again. Dude, it's not that big a deal, Moss said, perplexed. We've beaten Time Crisis plenty of times. Sucker's frown deepened. He stuck a hand into one of his empty pockets and turned it inside out. Yeah? Well, we're not beating it tonight. I don't have any quarters left, and your mom never gives you enough change. Moss closed his eyes and tried to clear his head. What's wrong with you? Where did this come from? Sucker let out a growl of frustration and stomped out of the arcade into the playroom. Moss shook his head in confusion and followed, but quickly lost all care for their conversation once he spied the bare state of the parlor. All of the lights were shut off, and there wasn't a single person inside aside from Sucker, who stood in the middle of the playroom next to the entrance to the ball pit. Oh no, Sucker whispered. He stood as still as a statue as he faced deep into the building, and Moss took a deep breath as he made his way out beside his friend. Looks like everyone took the party somewhere else, he said with a forced laugh. Sucker turned and glared at him. He spoke around his thumb as he sucked on it furiously. This isn't a time to be joking, Moss. He turned his head to look at everything around them. There's no one inside. The lights are off. We're freaking locked in.
Alright, that was part 2. See you guys in the next video. Bye.